Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining. We'll get right at it. My name is Bill Crean, and my wife Amy and I, along with Kelly and Mike Cannon, are the booster parents for the Hingham High School football team. And we were thrilled. We've had the opportunity, Amy and I, to have known Dr. Murphy, David Murphy, for a while now, and I know that a lot of folks in Hingham also work with his company, Effective Effort Consulting, and we thought, what better than to give the parents and students of Hingham High School a pep talk the night before school starts, especially when we're starting probably the most unique school year that any of us have faced. So what I'd like to do is just give a brief intro on David, and he'll fill in the holes, and we'll get going. So David has been a teacher, coach, administrator, and currently he's president of Effective Effort Consulting, and he does private executive functioning coaching for children, families, and adults. David ran Division I track at UConn, and so he's uniquely qualified to talk about the extra commitments and organizational skills you need as an athlete, both at any level, or for that matter, anyone that does any other activities, band or drama. It's a lot of work, and he comes from that background, having been a Division I athlete, and he did get his doctoral degree in education at Northeastern University. And Effective Effort Consulting is headquartered in Norwell, but I think they consult with folks from all over the world. So without further ado, David, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for the intro, Bill. This will be forever an awkward platform for me to do these presentations. I can't wait for Zoom to no longer be quite as important because, as a teacher by trade, my audience is usually right in front of me. So I'm a big fan of nonverbal communication and all of that. And so I can't see any of you, which is super awkward. So I basically just sit here and talk to myself, and I assume people are listening. And when I say a joke, I assume people are smirking and saying, haha. But uniquely qualified, that was an interesting statement, our choice of words. I think only recently have I started to become more honest around my journey as a student, and I think that's really helped in connecting, helping to connect with the kids that I teach and that I work with. And so not only am I a D1 athlete that is kind of grinded out the late nights like most student athletes and decided to take my skills to a D1 school, but I also had the opportunity to overcome dyslexia, and the battle that created, or that journey, taught me so much about how to learn and how to use my strengths to drive forward all the way through a doctorate degree, which many people thought I couldn't pull off. So I feel uniquely qualified. At least I feel like I know something, and in knowing something, helping kids on their journey is super rewarding to me and my team. So I came up with this crazy idea about doing some presentations around setting the home for remote learning. It was a Sunday morning. My kids and family were on the Cape, and I was getting ready for school to start in Duxbury, which is where I teach full time. I do this, seems to be as a side gig or a side hobby, but it's definitely a full-time job. And so I was like, well, I'll just start doing that. So this is my 5th presentation on this topic. This is my largest audience by maybe 30 or 40 people. So it's been excellent audience, and the parents that have come on board, the students that have come on board. My goal is to help you guys get ready. And so there is a massive gap between what I know and don't know. And for you guys in Hingham, it starts tomorrow. So I'm going to drill down into what to do to get ready, realizing that I can't do much for tomorrow if there's certain problems that I might need to wait for the weekend to solve. But getting ready for this is so important, especially when you think about the lifestyle and your goals and what you're trying to achieve this year, because life moves on. The truth is, it is going to be a complicated year. And it is important for us to really delve into that question: is how do I want to handle it? I thought, obviously, my wife sent this to me in a text a little while ago, and I thought, wow, wouldn't that be great? So we're all here because we want to try to figure this out, and I don't think we're interested in taking the pill to get out of this. So let's delve into some stuff. So yeah, so my journey in education has been a life journey for 20 plus years. So Effective Ever Consulting kind of morphed organically as I started to roll up my sleeves with parents and families and bringing other coaches on board to do this really dynamic work. It's been exciting. We quietly have started to recognizing that many of our clients are student athletes. Many of our clients are high performing student athletes. I love that kid. I really do. It's like that's where my heart is that student that's trying to grind out the hard work of being an athlete and the hard work of being a high performing student. It takes a high level of commitment. In this ambiguity of hybrid learning, it gets a little tougher. And without the brick and mortar structure of a school, I have to rely on other systems and other ways of managing school. So we're going to get into that. Quick plug though, before I get too deep into this presentation, for parents out there, there's another presentation next week that our parent coach, Coach Courtney, is doing. She specializes in the twice exceptional profile. And if you're a parent that understands that, then you're maybe someone that's interested in this topic. She's an amazing presenter. She's going to it's a free presentation just to really offer information. She's just a treasure trove of information around this topic. So from understanding to acceptance to action. So if you feel like this is something that connects with you, then just go to our website. You can register there, or just send me an email. We'll get you hooked up with the Zoom link for that. Okay. This presentation is really going to be on 4 categories. So we're going to talk about setting the physical space. We're going to then talk about setting your own expectations. I have family in there, but setting your expectations, changing your expectations to match what is happening, starting in this hybrid model. And then really looking at building out within yourself a way to future plan and manage your future effectively, taking into account all of the goals and expectations that you want to meet. And then on top of that is final step is following that plan. And in doing that, I can rely on certain cognitive strategies that I'll talk about and problem solving skills that I can talk about to manage the problems that will come up. Because life's not really about avoiding problems as much as it is about facing them, witnessing them, recognizing them, and quickly moving through them. So we'll get into that. But before we do, I want to really tap into you. And if you have a notebook, great. It's because you probably got my calendar invitation that said if you have a notebook, bring it. Because if you're going to take advantage of this time, or my time and your time, I would say engage with me by thinking as you do this, okay? And I'm going to be sharing a series of links with you at the end that are going to extend this presentation into very much a personal workshop for yourself. So the first major question I think we all should ask as students and as parents is, how do I set up a powerful learning space in my home? How do I do that? And secondly is, what are the goals for myself, maybe as a family, maybe as a dad, maybe as parents, but also as a student, maybe as a student athlete, maybe as a student who's also pursuing a passion in music or art or theater. It doesn't matter, but you're not just a student. You're a dynamic student with a lot going on. And in this hybrid model, it's very, 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 very important for parents, families, and students to be clear as day and focused on what you're trying to achieve, because that keeps us grounded and we can build the structure around that. So, and then a couple other questions that are really matter is, how do I raise my standard in this complex time period right? I don't, or just keep it, but I'm going to say raise it. And how do I stay motivated? Really, we're not looking for high motivation all the time. That's kind of impossible, but a law of average? Sure. The peaks and valleys, if I can minimize them, how do I stay motivated? And then the last part is really maybe towards parents, working with your kids to talk about how do I, as a parent, as a dad, support my child's growth and independence. Realizing that's as much our goal as it is theirs, okay? So, college readiness, all high school kids, that's the journey. Freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. It's about getting ready for whatever my goals have and whatever my journey is next, right? And for most of us, it's to go to college. It's to pursue higher education. Some of us don't really know why yet. But the clearer we are into what that future looks like, the better we'll do on where we stand today, right? Whether you're a student athlete or you're looking for a scholarship or you're looking to be a dynamic student in college. I had a kiddo that was a sophomore. I did this with him personally, and by the end of our time together, which wasn't a long time, he was a very focused, high-performing student. But the problem was he really was kind of tapped out of being an athlete. He was a baseball player, and he was having to still follow through the process of being an athlete because he'd been an athlete since he was 2. But now he's in high school, and he really loved academics, and he was good at it, so that was really rewarding to him. But he really wanted to focus all his time on being a student, and he really had goals about getting a 4.0, 4.1, and he also had this other side thing that he was super passionate about, and that was making music. And he wanted to really focus on those 2 areas. So as we delved into this college readiness, we unraveled all of these other strengths and really came clear on what he actually wanted to do. And we had to have a hard conversation with mom and dad on really bailing on being an athlete. But in doing that, he became his own driver in the future, his future in high school. So college readiness skills is a really big deal. I have in the corner there actively reading, taking good notes, and self-help being 3 major benchmarks in college readiness skills. Goals for parenting, I think students should know this as much, children should know this as much as parents, because it's relatively the same for both. And that is, parents want their kids to be independent, responsible, and take on the responsibilities of whatever milestones are in their life, the goals that they're trying to pursue, and the expectations and the roles they play. It's that simple. Age appropriate, developmentally appropriate as they scale towards post-high school to the point where they're on their own, visiting mom and dad, and living a great life, following their dreams and their strengths. So what we want to start to do to get started with where we are is you have to start to imagine a new learning environment, okay? And that takes, that's hard for parents to grapple with because homes weren't built with a school in mind, right? Kids were sent to school. In certain homes, an office wasn't in mind because parents, dad, mom, they went to the office. So we have to redefine the home in a couple areas if we start thinking about the adult perspective on this. But let's just say from a student, I have to reconfigure and absolutely redesign the home. The dining room, I would say, doesn't really exist until further notice. Start to see physical environments in the house as being the new learning environment, the new school, the new home school, the new library in my house, where I can lay my stuff out, take the paintings off the wall, take the pictures off the wall, start doing some stuff within the house to change the landscape so that I have an environment where when I sit down, I look and I feel like the powerful student I'm trying to be, not only when I'm in school, but when I'm home. Because it's not homework time. I'm actually having to sit down and be a student. Homework is not even a topic in this game. I'm home, yes. Same but different. I'm home. But I'm not doing homework. I'm doing schoolwork from my home environment. It's a different mindset because now because the accountability measure changes. I'm having to engage in a lecture online. I'm having to take notes. I'm having to study. I'm having to pass in assignments that are for that class ending at that time period, 12:58 or whatever it is, and moving on to the next class. It's not homework, even though I'm home. So I have to approach my school day with the physical environment that promotes that. Think of whiteboards, think of clocks, think of timers, think of headphones. I think most students eventually are going to have headphones, and they're going to turn them on and they're going to get focused into this virtual. Think about when you play a video game, right? And you're really into that video game. The environment disappears and you just get sucked in to the game as if you're there. And that's what's going to start to play out as students really start to transform into the virtual learning platform. So get the tools to make that possible. Timers are powerful when you think about independent work during a study hall during the school day. Now I can bail on that study hall, or I can use a timer to give myself a balance between, taking a break versus, no, let me see if I can grind out 20 minutes of this homework that's due tomorrow during the study hall, so I don't have to worry about it later on tonight. And then the headphones, the virtual headphones, like me, I use the virtual headphones in these presentations because I like to stand, I like to move around. It's more natural for me. So as a student, maybe you want to do the same thing, create some platforms to do that. Other tools. This is like college readiness materials 101. Notebook, matching plastic folder, and stacking shelves to put my materials between quarters or between semesters, or when my book bag gets too full. We're getting less and less handouts, so you don't really need a binder. You do need a place to take notes, and I say a spiral notebook is all you really need. One subject, 70 to 80 sheets, ideal. And if you can see your own handwriting, don't go into typed notes yet. I think you need your handwriting as long as possible. So keep practicing it. Demand that you get better at it. Okay? Because you want that skill when it's necessary in college or later on in high school. So really train yourself to get better and better at taking handwritten notes. There's a lot of great technology. I'm not going to say that technology is not relevant. If you can't read your handwriting and that's really just kind of a lost cause, that's a different story. But if you can read your handwriting and you're fast with the handwriting, you can write small and legible and you can handle all that, I would say keep plowing with taking spiral notes. You will not regret it down the road. Okay? Do that as long as possible. Other tools. This is a study carrel, and as you redefine your house, as you restructure your environment, as you find a table that is not your middle school desk that you still have in your bedroom, as you upgrade to match the standards for yourself, this table's great. It actually sits up high. You can stand next to it, and there's a little foot swivel thing. I don't know if you're the kid, but I was that kid that I used to rock. I'd rock my feet. I'd kind of like just, my leg would shake up and down all day long. And I probably would have loved this thing. It's just for standing, but it gives you just a dynamic place to be part of, to do work and to participate in class from home. So something to think about. Printers. Get a dedicated printer. Whether you're printing off PowerPoint notes, whether you're printing off the math worksheets and doing them by hand, printers are going to be very important to your life as a student. Make sure you have plenty of ink and you have access to a dedicated printer so that you can roll through that without any concern. It's going to change your platform for learning. If you are printing materials, highlighting, interacting with the material in a tactile way, it's just going to improve your performance, guaranteed. So don't be afraid to invest in the ink. Don't be afraid to invest in the printer. That's going to help your kids get there. Okay? Cell phones. It's time to upgrade your cell phone to make it the powerful tool that it is, if you haven't yet. Okay? So download all related apps that matter to you as a student. Okay? So that you have access to Google Classroom, to Gmail. I don't care if you have 3 email accounts, they should all be linked up on your phone. Schoology, Canvas, Khan Academy, whatever it is that is going to be expected of you as a student, download it and then set up notifications. I see students doing their work on their cell phone or doing their work out on paper, taking a picture with their cell phone and uploading it as an assignment completed. That's what I see. I see that being really effective, especially when you think of note-taking and you think of just doing your assignments in your notebook, because that is the best platform to work on self-testing and note-taking and promoting your learning. Okay? Well, that's a really big picture of me. Sorry about that. I put this in here just today because this is the first presentation I'm actually doing that's related directly to high school kids, directly to students that might have pretty busy schedules. This is the greatest life hack out there for students, and I don't know if enough do this. There's the link. I will share it later on. You can find it on my YouTube channel. It's about using text to speech on your phone. Now, laptops don't have the functionality. I don't know why. It's as if it's different operating systems, and I don't think it is. Anyways, when you use speech to text on your phone, you already know how ridiculously powerful it is and intuitive it is. You can write paragraph after paragraph. You can speak paragraph after paragraph after paragraph. Only hard part is I have to say the word period. So every time I make a sentence period, I have to transition it with a period. And that's the only really awkward part. And I can crush a 5-paragraph essay in 30 minutes. Have it sent to my laptop, and I can go in and edit it. I can add sources. I can bring in anything else that I need to. That is just, I just think, I wish they had this tool when I was a student. It would have, on the bus going to games, I would have had my headphones in. I would have been doing some speech to text on some assignments that I do that day, right into Google Classroom, right into Schoology, and just submitting it, getting 3 assignments done on the way to practice and back. Just what I would do. So really great if you know, if you already know this, obviously you can attest to it. But if you haven't really tried it out, there's no reason not to. Okay. So also, I'm not going to jump into this. I don't know. Maybe I should. I'm not going to jump into this, but this is a interactive slide right here. So when I click on it, what it does is, I think I'm going to assume you guys know how to do this, or if you don't, you know how to. You just haven't. And that is really getting much better at creating bookmarks on Google or whatever Safari on the browsers, so that you have fast, quick access to the major sites that you have to use as a student. So if a teacher has a dedicated Zoom link, save that dedicated Zoom link, title it the name of the course, and have that be your one-stop access to your class. And if they have Schoology, do the same thing. If there's a Google Doc, and you know that Google Doc is a place that saves passwords for you, then save that under bookmarks. You have a fast, quick access. I think as a student athlete, one of the things I really wish I learned quicker was how to work smarter, not harder. So creating hacks to minimize the number of clicks to get somewhere will save you time and effort down the road. So if I have 8 classes and there's 15 clicks per thing, all of a sudden I'm finding myself just spending too much time hunting for things. No, don't waste it. Just figure out, do hacks like this, and you'll find yourself working smarter, not harder. Okay? Redefining your expectations, a little shift from kind of physical stuff to more kind of mental goal setting stuff. And this is really related to, who do you want to be as a student? And what are your standards for yourself? What parameters do you want to put on yourself to promote that? I have a kiddo that I've been working with all summer. He's awesome. He's a student athlete, and we started talking about non-negotiable agreements with yourself around expectations and standards, and certain things like, this is a hard one, but really worth debating, is I really limit my social time during the week. Honestly, as you get to high school, your friends are important, but you really don't need many. You need like 2 or 3 good friends. The rest of them sometimes just become a waste of time. And what I mean is you have, time is precious during the school week. It's precious. I don't have a lot of it. And if my goals are high enough, I have a lot to accomplish. So friends can be something I can negotiate and I can punt. So when it comes to priorities, I can see myself shifting that relationship further down the list and moving it, not ignoring it. I just move it. I compartmentalize what we might call distractions, but friendships are important. It's just, I'm not ignoring them. I'm just putting them someplace where it's not impacting my attention on what I'm trying to do each day as a student. It simplifies life. It's the reason why, as a child, my parents, and I think many parents in the audience, weren't allowed to go to the mall during a school week. The mall was the place to hang out. It was like, I don't know, the new, when you get online and hang out with your friends playing, playing Madden or any other type of game, social game. It's the same difference in a way. So you weren't allowed to do that, and what that does is create a very quiet evening to focus on what mattered. And that was really helpful to me as a kid that really had to grind out the learning process. It helped me to just quiet my expectations and focus my priorities around what I'm trying to do each night. And that was really valuable. Now it's harder now. So you have to become your own governor and you have to create your own boundaries. So doing that deliberately, bringing your parent into the conversation, get their support and feedback, create family standards around what is allowed or not allowed, or more importantly, what helps with performance and what doesn't help with performance, and really creating a family culture can be really powerful. By the way, multitasking is just gross. I would say you guys this generation is so good at it. It's kind of hard to know when you're not doing it. It's hard to know when you are doing it, so therefore it's hard to catch it. But high performing student, it's super hard to multitask and expect your brain to perform well. So just be aware of that. I don't need to say that there's just a lot of research. I don't believe me, just Google it. It's a waste of time when you think about the time you're trying to give yourself to be a student, and I'm trying to multitask through it. I think most students by the time they get to college figure it out, but by that point maybe the cost is already made enough damage. So I would say put the stuff away, create some boundaries for yourself, and you'll find school a lot easier. And I think that's the working smarter, not harder mentality. So we're going to get into routines right now. We're going to get into schedules. We're going to get into trying to break any kind of chaotic patterns that might impact performance. So, we try to bring order to chaos. So in the chaos of this hybrid model, what you have to ask yourself is, where can I create structure? Where can I create routines? Where can I create predictable rhythms so that I can match my performance to these certain schedules, right? That makes sense. So let's see how we do that. Well, I have to see my mornings first. Just crush the mornings. Come up with a really awesome schedule for your mornings and try to maintain a schedule with that. Okay, that also plays into the evenings. Don't screw up your sleep, because then it's just gonna unravel. I was talking to a college girl that's, she's at Brandeis. She's super bright, super capable, but she's finding that she just keeps going to bed at 3 o'clock in the morning, and her whole day is unraveled, not only emotionally, but intellectually, because it's super hard for her to attend a class on very little sleep. And so she's just kind of an emotional roller coaster. And now she's behind on academics, because she kind of just started the snowball effect. So you have to really treat your schedule and routines with a level of respect. And I say that's why I put a boundary on friends, because some friends don't necessarily care that you want a good night's sleep, right? And you don't want to say you need anything. So putting those parameters in place allows you to at least get to bed at 11 o'clock most nights. Or if you only need 6, only need 8, you just start to measure what you need. And other couple of questions when it comes to consistency and being proactive is knowing your strengths. Just know what you're good at. Like, don't screw around with certain things if you know it's just going to get you in trouble. And then with that is deciding, how do I want to be when I'm studying, okay, and when do I want to be studying? Some really important questions, so that I can start to ask myself, who am I? Well, right now I'm studying. Right now it's my free time. Instead of winging it, I had a girl asked, how many hours, this is a college kid, so again, when you think about college readiness, I'm kind of talking future picture with you. Asking a kid, how many hours do you study on average at college? And she kind of beating around the topic by talking about the chaos of just her life. And I said, Brittany, how many hours on average are you studying for your classes? And she couldn't answer it. And I said, that's probably one of the top 4 most important questions of a college student. The first ones have to do with health, meaning my mental health. I'm getting sleep, hygiene, eating right. Those are kind of top priority kind of stuff. And then I'm asking, how many hours am I studying per day to manage my school life? Okay, so that's kind of where you're trying to get to. This is a very simplistic picture of what a schedule can look like to a really dysregulated mind, right? This is a girl. She's a 7th grade. She was 7 years old when we did this. But This kind of gives you an idea of when I see my morning, what does it look like? How many tasks are there in my morning? Can I get through it myself? I get up, I get dressed. I'm just in control of my life. Now, as a high school kid, you all should be. Because if you're not, your parents are going to be, and that sucks. So take control of it, define what it looks like, define the steps in it, and then just run with it and make it consistent throughout the week. And you'll feel so good by the time you get to your first class, because that feels better than a morning where I wake up 5 minutes before my Zoom class. I didn't have breakfast and I'm sitting at a desk and I haven't even brushed my teeth and I'm pretending I'm supposed to be a student. That's the opposite. So you take control of your mornings. And what we're doing by talking like this is I'm going to give you kind of a little bit of a lecture, little knowledge transfer here. Is there's two things we're trying to build: nonverbal working memory and verbal working memory. So as I'm strengthening this relationship, I'm going to put on my goofy picture here because I love to teach. Is you're trying to strengthen the picture of what your future looks like, right? So that has to do with images around my future identity. That's the nonverbal. And then as I start to see and debate that future identity, I'm really putting attention to who I am trying to be. I can then match it with the language and the tasks that can get me there. And you can be as granular as you need to be in terms of that relationship between pictures and task. For example, I can go task by task, this is what I look like getting dressed. Or I can say, more importantly, this is what I look like after I've crushed a virtual learning day, right? I'm just pumped. I just got through all of my assignments on time, everything, all of my classwork is done, and now I'm just gonna go chill out for an hour because that's what I really have put in front of me as just my own reward. We need our own carrots as high school, as students. We need to put those things in front of us that kind of give us a pat on the back to say, all right, man, you got another day done. It's cool, let's celebrate, okay? And in doing that, I would say you need a tool. You need something to create your schedule. Now, I would say you can have three. In one wall, you just have a picture of your classes. Next to that is the schedule of your classes, right? And then next to that might be the schedule of the other parts of your life. Now, if you were heading off to college, or if this was getting too complicated, I would say blend them all. Put them all together onto something like a Google Calendar, this is a spreadsheet. This is actually, I'll show you what this looks like. This is a spreadsheet on Google Sheets that you can just fill out. And what it helps you see is when are my commitments, where are the gaps where I can make my own decisions around what I want to do, and when is my study time, and for those that really need to, when's my free time, right? When can I really just let myself chill out? Because that could be also really rewarding. I might not make the right decision if I don't have a clear picture of that, right? So this is really all about getting ready for learning. We're creating a schedule. We're talking about our schedule. We're talking about routines. We're talking about building a picture of what I look like through the process of getting ready to learn. So now it's time to sit my butt down in a seat. I've created the atmosphere to crush it. And now I need a couple of steps, 3 steps really to get into it. One is just open up your system, open up the apps, open up my LMS platforms, look at my classroom, look at Schoology, look at Canvas, look at Aspen, look at my email. By the way, if a teacher sends you an email, open it and respond. I had a kiddo that sent me a request for a recommendation, and he never responded to any of my prior emails. And I was kind of like, I kind of had that moment where I was like, I should totally just not respond. No, just kidding. But my point is that as you get to become a high schooler, your teachers take you as seriously as you want to be taken, right? So step up, respond to emails with saying thank you if that's all you want to say, if that's all that's necessary, or respond with answering the question, or respond with a clarifying question of your own. All you're doing is emails now are so vital to your relationship with your teachers. The better you are communicating via email, the better relationship you're establishing with your teacher. And that's very important to your connection to the content and even your performance. And you'll see that as you get better at that relationship. The printers, I can print off what I need to do, organize my printouts, organize my assignments for that class if I need to, whether it's PowerPoints. By the way, you can print off PowerPoints so they have slides. You probably all know this, I hope, but there's different formats to print off a PowerPoint. So you can print them off in different format views based on what their purpose is. So you can print them off, and one of the views is for notes. That's an awesome feature. I'd say for all college kids, always be printing off your notes that way so that you can read text and take notes on the slides that your professor find important. It's a really great college hack. And then obviously write out my plan. What am I doing today? What is expected of me as a student? What's the homework? Again, not what's the classwork, but what's the extension of that I want to write my plan down, because maybe I do have to sit down between 4 and 6 tonight, or 8 and 10 to get more work done, right? Whiteboard is awesome. I love the idea of a whiteboard in the homes. I just think it just promotes engagement. I think I can see students with their whiteboard like this on a Zoom class call, doing the work out, and their teacher sees it right in front of them. So they don't even need to take a snapshot and send it as a submission, as much as the teacher just needs to take a screenshot, because they just put their name down there and there's their assignment completed. So I think whiteboards are going to find to be a very dynamic platform for engaging in Zoom classes. We just haven't, that'll evolve, I think, as we start to, as we as teachers start to engage with our students and work through the, these creative ways of sharing content and sharing the learning experience. Okay. I probably didn't show you that. There was a picture early on that looked a little weird because I didn't explain it, but it was actually dry erase paint. And it was a picture of the paint can. I think maybe there was a brush next to it. But you can take a wall and just paint the whole thing, a dry erase board. You got to get the right paint though. I think I have in one of the links. It's because it's just high quality. You don't want to get the crap. The crap just means it just doesn't erase. So you want to get the good quality. It's just not cheap, but it works. I have my other rooms in my office painted that way, and it's great. It's just very engaging, and can just become a platform for working out problems in math or whatever. So getting ready. This is just another type of planner. These are planners. These are virtual ones, though. So you may be a kid that wants a regular planner, okay? Planner. Right? This is a dollar store. Really simple. Another planner. It's bigger. Maybe you have big handwriting. I didn't need a big one. But for students that really want something more dynamic and that just stays in front of them, they just keep this out all the time. They don't really need to take it to school. Maybe they do take it to school and they just keep it open like this, and they're writing out their stuff. Some would debate with me. They say, "Yeah, but Coach Murphy, I go to Canvas, and all my..." Actually, I don't know if Hingham has Canvas. I think he has a Google Classroom, but some students will say, "All I do is just go on, and all my teachers have it posted." It's true, but I will say, if all you do in your life is be a student, then that would make sense, maybe. But the teachers put their plan for you online, and when you take 7 teachers, there's no one-stop shop where it translates into your plan. So that's why I say you want to be the one to take that information and do something with it and own it. And owning it means I do something with it as it relates to my time, because I'm busy. I got a lot going on. I have goals that relate to me more than just being a student. I'm in charge of putting those assignments where I think I can get them done. I have 10 chapters to read in this book due next week. My teacher gives me a timeline to get that stuff read. That might work for you. Versus, no, I have to read all 10 chapters on Saturday because I'm too busy all week getting ready for a dance competition. So you have to be the one to think futuristically like that and plan backwards based on what your goals are as a student or a dynamic student, okay? So planner, these things are cool. So this is an assignment tracker link. Again, I'll share this out. That's pretty cool. I think I can click on this. I think I may have to. I think I have to do a new share to show it. So this is what it looks like. Yeah, I think I shared that correctly. This is an assignment tracker. It's literally a template on Google Sheets, and you can save this as under favorites, and you can make it accessible to yourself real time all the time. And that can be very important as you're just juggling assignments. Now, that's not a planner. That's just an assignment tracker. So because a planner involves time, usually has a calendar-based view to it. So if you really want to get into planning, this is a pretty cool virtual one as well. The other one that, if you want to think of something worth purchasing, myhomeworkapp.com is probably one of the best versions of a app-based academic planner. You have to spend time building it out, but once you do, it's really helpful. It sets up reminders and everything, so it's very good when you think about your life in high school. And so this is pretty cool. So this is a place where you can track. Up here, maybe you put your homework for due on Monday, and here is really your schedule. So you can build out your whole week as it relates to my half days on Monday, Tuesday, and then my home virtual days on Wednesday and Thursday, Friday. And that also puts you into account of what I might be looking like in the afternoon. Maybe I'm getting a job. I would say if you have a half day at Hingham High School and you have all this free time in the afternoon, do something with it. Right? Start working on the website you've been thinking about. Start selling, I don't care what it is. It's an opportunity to do nothing, or it's an opportunity to make something of it. And so maybe it's getting a part-time job. Maybe it's getting all of your homeworks done, so by 3:30, the rest of the evening is yours. It doesn't really matter. It's just, I think you have an opportunity here to capitalize on as long as you are healthy and life is and everything's taken care of. You can start to really make something of it. I don't care if you're taking you can actually take college level courses at a community college right now. You can just Google it. I think it's Quincy Community College. They were offering it all summer. I thought that's the best deal in town. Quincy Community College taking college level courses outside of school. Or you can start getting coding certification. If you're interested in science, technology, and computer programming, you should not graduate high school unless you have at least 3 coding certifications. No, your school's probably not going to give them to you. They're not able to keep up as fast with the modern world, right? But you can. You just go online. You type in coding certifications. Whether it's, it doesn't matter what it is, C++, I'm not sure if that's outdated now, but there's Python, and you just crush some online certifications in your free time. It depends on what your goals are. It depends what you're trying to achieve. It depends what type of picture you want to build for yourself as you see your future. Okay, just a little pitch. Sometimes I get a little overzealous. Okay, so I didn't actually share this calendar. That would have been helpful. Sorry about that. This is what happens when I don't have an audience to prompt me instantly. So this is the calendar that I was sharing that's a little more interactive, where you have a spot up top to track your assignments, and then down below is where the calendar view is, where you can build out your schedule. You can build it out. You can start to really see this, and then you print it off and you put it in your home classroom, and you put it so you really see what you're trying to achieve each day, where your schedule matches your goals, right? Just a little personal. I get up every morning at 5:30, and I go for a 3-mile. I'll meditate for half hour. I go for a 3-mile run, and then I'll come home and I'll do a workout out on the swing set. My son joins me around 6:30. By 7, I have to be 7:30. I got to be out the door on the way to work. But as I create my schedule around my physical health, it's just there's no difference, except I'm 43, and you're 16. So it's just, as I decide who I'm trying to be, I create the schedule to match it, right? And if there's standards that you're trying to reach, you just ask yourself, how do I get there? So I'm in Duxbury, and our kids have already started, so I've been able to kind of see real time how this has looked. And kids are really doing great with the online classes and what it looks like. Some still need a little hand holding around the changes they need to make it more effective in the home. But when you think about what do I want to look like as a student, I would say get serious about it. Like, I want to look ready for my class. So what does that mean? It means that I'm sitting down someplace where my stuff is spread out. Can I be on my bed and take notes? No, I think you have to kind of pretend like I'm trying to crush it. I'm trying to create a powerful learning environment. So what does it look like? And find that space and create that image and create that feeling for yourself, and the rest will take care of itself. Etiquette, this is more for younger kids, but I think etiquette's important. I gotta say, no one's really screwing around too much with background screens yet. I don't think that's a big deal all the time, except your teachers will take you as seriously as you present yourself. So in this Zoom world, there's still a hard line around etiquette, around attire, around posture, presentation, that we want to respect. That's why I say get out of your bedroom, get out of your comfort zone around who you want to be when no one else is looking. and redefine that so that when you are on the screen, you're giving the most powerful presentation you can. Because that's the ultimate image you're trying to portray to your teacher, and vice versa. Does that make sense? And so, your teacher sees that a student that had two screens out. One screen was the Zoom screen, and it came at him at an angle. So he's sitting there on something else. But the Zoom screen was taking kind of a profile a little bit, but he just he looked like he was really owning his place in the virtual learning platform. And I was impressed. Even if he was faking it, it was an awesome fake it till you make it testament, right? So that was cool. So once you start to really clearly see and build your plan around around the plan and the plan to match your goals, right? What am I trying to achieve and how does it look throughout my day? I can then start to work that plan, and that's it. That's the formula for life, right? If I can see my plan and then my plan matches my goals around the standards of each day and around my standards for each week and my academic goals of high honors or never missing an assignment, right? Or really doing great, being far more aware of where I put my social time and where I put my gaming time and where I put distractions, and I'm really owning that relationship. I start to see my schedule helping to support that, okay? And so now you can start to dig into, with much easier transition, to problem solving and monitoring and all of that. And this is where we start to see kids really crushing it, because when now you can monitor your progress with greater clarity and greater intention. You can't monitor your progress if you don't know what to monitor, because you don't have a plan, you don't have a schedule, you have nothing to rely on. So it's hard to see where the gaps are. But now I have a plan, right? I have a notebook. That's kind of important. And so I'm taking notes and I'm realizing what I know and don't know. I'm listening to the lectures. I'm really paying attention because I've changed my environment to really help me focus. And I'm able to really track my assignments, and I'm turning in all of my assignments. Before, I really wasn't sure if I was. Okay, so then when I look at grades, I'm less concerned what I'm going to see because I kind of know my plan is taking care of me, and so the grades just kind of reflect that, right? So this self-monitoring, how am I doing? How am I doing? Do I need a break? Do I need help? Right? And starting to really, and so I find it falls into time management, falls into things like that. But self-monitoring is so important to your journey as a student, right? So sometimes if you struggle, your parents might chime in and start to ask you questions around, or telling you that you're having a hard time. They kind of start calling you out on it because you're not able to notice or solve problems quick enough. So one thing you can start to do with a timer, for example, is really start to figure out where your limits are in terms of attention. So realizing as a 16-year-old, you want to be able to get to 40 minutes of focused work. Not distracted work, but focused work. And can you get there? Can you set your timer of 40 minutes and read for 40 minutes? Or read and take notes for 40 minutes? I don't know. Some would say, first, I'm not sure if a lot of kids don't read. So I think that's kind of the first challenge is, okay, I don't know, you really got to look yourself in the mirror. So when's the last time I read for 40 minutes? Well, hopefully you love to read, because that's really a core prerequisite of college readiness skills is not only the less of the love of reading. I never really loved reading, but the willingness to take on the burden of reading is really important. But also attention, being able to really hack that. Self-monitoring has everything to do with a metacognitive process of knowing what I don't know, and knowing when I get stuck, knowing when I face a problem, and knowing when there's an unsolved problem. So when I'm stuck, it's like, I don't really know what to do next. I don't know how to solve this problem. I'm just going to ignore it, right? You start to just kind of throw it away, or maybe you just defer to something else. But that's not, so if I'm solving problems, if I'm monitoring my progress in the details, then I'm going to prevent bigger problems. And that picture is a picture of a brain, working out. I know it has to do with brain gym, and really it just has to do with when you do take a break, you want to make sure that your break is not just grabbing your phone. That's just dumb. It's just worthless. All right, you might as well just pretend you're not taking a break and just say you're just bored and you want to do something else. So a break should be something meaningful. Get up. If you have 10 minutes between class, get up. Go get a snack. Go outside. Whatever you got to do, just decide to not sit there. It's really important. So when you start self-monitoring, you start working on strategies, you should just track that. What am I doing to get better at promoting my own efforts? Because if I don't realize that, someone else might, or the symptoms might be too great for me to recover from, meaning my grades start to crash, I'm missing assignments, I'm not learning the math stuff, so I'm bombing on quizzes, and someone asks me what's going on, and I say, I don't know. Well, you do know. You didn't solve the problem soon enough by catching the moment when you weren't getting the math. So what did I do when I got stuck there? I just ignored it, right? I just moved on. Versus, no, I didn't move on. I actually made a plan to get help. I made a plan to go on to YouTube, which we all know how awesome YouTube is, but maybe we don't know that it's one of the most powerful tools for learning. And I Googled the math problem, and I found it on YouTube, and I watched it 3 times, and I taught myself how to solve that problem my way, which was awesome. Wow, how empowering is that? So owning the problem gives you the chance to solve it versus ignoring it. Okay, so getting stuck is real. This is a high school kid, and he's really he's super bright, but he gets stuck when he starts to see overwhelming assignments. So he wrote down finish number 1, which was a paper. So he wrote finish the first paper, and then he wrote outline and start the second paper, and he just couldn't get started. So in our dialogue, this was actually over text messaging, I said, well, he said, I just can't get started. I said, okay, just rewrite your plan, and we've worked on this already, so this was just a text message, but we worked on this already. Rewrite your plan and break those 2 steps into additional subcategories. And after he did that, you can see he has 5 steps here, and he started to write more specific steps. Now the teacher doesn't do this, the student does, as it relates to their own needs, their own styles, their own strengths, their own weaknesses, and their own ability to work through a plan. Pretty cool, right? And this actually he did great after he did that. He was able to work through both papers and achieve his goal for that day. Okay, we're talking problem solving. I'm going to pivot a little bit to parents for a second. So sorry, kiddos, but this will help you as well. And I want to help parents help their kids. So in doing that, I'm trying to tell parents in some way to relinquish ownership of the child's problems. So stop solving your child's problems first. But it's hard to notice that I am doing that. It's hard to notice that I'm nagging. It's hard to notice that I'm in the weeds telling my kid what to do or what problem they need to solve. So I first have to catch it. I have to notice that I am being that person. And if I can notice it, then I can pull back and be more deliberate in how I connect with my kids around whatever problems they're not doing a great job at solving on their own. And if I can do it appropriately, or if I can do it thoughtfully, I can keep the relationship with my child, right? And even strengthen it as I connect and empathize and invite to collaboratively problem solve issues. Because again, life's not about preventing problems. I think life is about recognizing them and practicing the solving of them to the point where I build myself to the point where I can solve any problem you put in front of me. And that's our ultimate goal, is to have that level of confidence to go out and crush it in life because you became a master problem solver, because boy, high school sucked, right? It was so difficult that I had 1,000 problems a week to grind through, but I owned every one of them. And the end result of that is that I became an excellent problem solver. So our parents have to get out of the way, but not out of the car completely. Get in the driver's seat. Get out of the driver's seat, get in the passenger seat, and put your child in charge, and you can ask them questions. I'm going to send you some information on this if this helps, but you can really help your kid by just connecting with them around the problem without really having to solve it. You know what the problem, you know what the solution could be, but that's not the point, right? The point is for you to be able to help your child brainstorm and become part of the collaborative effort to help your child work through these problems. So let's brainstorm some possible answers. And they kind of give you an option A. Say, that sounds like it could work. Do you have any other plans? Is there a plan B that could come to mind? Do you have something else? What if that doesn't work? Well, what if that doesn't work? Okay, so let's circle back this later today and let's talk about how that plan worked for you. And you don't know, that plan could work. In your mind, you're thinking, that's an awful plan. He's going to come back. That's okay. It doesn't really matter. It's just empowering our children to work through their own problems and develop that self-efficacy, which is very important in life, to be able to work through their own problems and become their own advocate, right? So in doing that too, you can stomp the ants, and that's kind of a kid's way of saying really starting to catch and eliminate automatic negative thoughts or simply excuses. We don't know as adults when we use excuses. We have to get called out on them. So with our kids, but our high-performing kids, they don't want excuses to get in their way, and they will they will fight you when you accuse them of it until you can create an atmosphere to recognize excuses from a positive angle. And so our kids can face them. The I forgot, that it's not my fault, I can't, it's too hard, I lost it, or I got distracted. I like that. When I got distracted seems to be something that I hear students use as if it's an okay excuse. And I would say it's probably one of the ones to start crushing right away, because owning that is not good. Owning that excuse is step one to solving it, right? So, and then you start to realize there's buckets of the problems. There's some buckets that I just don't need. There's bucket A, B, and C. So let's just look at kind of what that means. Well, one is, as you think of a parent, and maybe you're the student listening to this, and you're like, oh my God, my mom has dad have like 100 problems like they're always talking about. If I can make a list of the 100 things they nag about. Okay, that might be true. So mom or dad, I would say, move them into buckets. Right? There's the A problems, which are kind of emergency related. I got to get you out of harm's way kind of problems. There's the B problems, which are ones that I don't want to ignore. They're kind of too pressing. And then there's the C bucket ones, are like he forgets to flush the toilet or put down the toilet seat. And I make it a battle twice a day, and it's the reason our relationship sucks. Okay, I would say, until further notice, bucket C. Now there might be C buckets that I've ignored because I don't really know how to tackle them. Okay, now's your chance. Write them down. Be proactive. Bring your children to the table and talk about one problem at a time. Realizing over the course of a year, I will get through every problem. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. And with Journey starts with one conversation at a time over one problem at a time. Okay? And I have, there we go. Okay. Study habits. People are asking, Coach Murphy, why aren't you talking about study habits? I am. All of this is about study habits. I will tell you, effective, consistent homework habits create effective study habits. If you treat homework like it matters, you are building study habits. Okay? I can't build study habits, and you can't build study habits if you don't read, if you don't take notes, if you don't engage in lectures, right? And if you don't do homework like it matters. If I do all that, cool. I can start building the other study skills like self-testing, right? Which is one of the most powerful tools around studying that I can build, right? And other advanced active reading, advanced note-taking strategies. You can build on all of that, but it really starts with homework habits. So we start there. 3 things. Well, increasing motivation. I don't know. This is a parent/student thing. So talk to your kids around how you can help them stay motivated. I'm going to start with number 3. Number 3 is at the end of the quarter, the end of the semester, the end of the grading period, you can match dollar for grades. It's a great topic. I love talking about that. If all I talk about is dollar for grades and it works, don't worry about anything else, right? If I put a dollar value, we talk about goals, we talk about honor roll, we talk about this class, what are you trying to achieve this year, and how can I help you maintain a certain level of motivation? It may not be increasing it, just maintaining it. Law of average, that's the ultimate goal. It's a good thing to strive for. Put the money in an envelope, put it in the fridge, put the total value on it. You know, a little love note in there. And then every time your child goes into the fridge and takes out a drink, it's 8 o'clock. Every time it takes an orange juice and they see that in there and it kind of just taps back into that motivation, that's cool if it works. It may be too futuristic for a lot of our kids. That's okay. Back up. Talk about weekly goals. Check in on grades. If you want to look at Aspen Fridays, do it on Fridays. Do not do it daily. It's not necessary. It's a waste of it ruins the relationship. Have a Friday check-in. Have a Sunday check-in. Talk to your kids on that time around their performance and whatever privileges that you want to negotiate based on that. That's fair. It's a fair conversation. It gets you out of the weeds. It lets your child run the show, and then you guys can just check in as would be appropriate in that relationship. Okay. Daily check-ins you can make positive by just having whether it's a morning or an evening, just a time to touch base. How's school going? Talk to me about what's on your mind. Okay. Or if there is an unsolved problem, you can maybe ask, what's going on with the math class? I got an email from your teacher. What's up? I mean, you're pretty non-judgmental. You already know your kid knows the struggle. You just want to really engage the dialogue, and that's really refreshing for your student that doesn't really want to be criticized or ridiculed or demeaned, right? But they would love to have an advocate in their corner working through those problems that they really maybe get stuck on, right? Okay. That was it. I mean, I think we did that in 55 minutes.